Hello.
Good to be with you again for our daily reflection, and today comes from Mark chapter 9,
Chapter 9.
verse 23. If you can, said Jesus, everything is possible for the one who believes.
Mid-conversation.
Yeah, sort of needs the And this is just after the transfiguration, and Jesus has come down from the mountain, and some of his disciples have been with Jesus, but some are down trying to cast out
There's an uproar at the bottom of the hill, really.
As he comes down, yeah. The Father says, but if you can do anything, take pity on us and help him.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, if you can.
If you can do something, it's sort of not a very faithful statement, is it?
No, so Jesus is saying, if you can, what do you mean? Of course,
maybe
God
you
can
should
do
be
something.
believing. Everything is possible for you if you believe.
Now,
what about a red Ferrari?
Here we come back again. You've got to take it in context, isn't it? It's very clear that Jesus is wanting, it's in the context of healing this man's son, not in the context of providing red Ferraris. Jesus wasn't going to build one on the spot for him and give him one then. Hadn't been invented yet. So yes, but it really helps us to move into this space of there's something about the way in which God has created this world that us trusting the world, believing the world, or the way God has set up the world, believing the way God acts, is part of the way you live in the world. So we live by faith all the time, We trust in mobile phones to do a recording of us.
You turn on the tap and you expect water to come
that's right. You turn on a switch and electricity comes. There are lots of things that you do live by faith. And God says, actually, I'm sustaining this world. I'm working in this world. So for years, for centuries, for millennia, farmers have planted seed and trusted that the rains would come, the warmth would work with the soil, and the seeds would grow.
And if it doesn't, then there's a famine.
There's a famine, then they pray, God, do something else. That's right. So there's this idea of cooperating with God in belief is a really important part of life. We do it every day, and yet we limit God. That's what Jesus, I think, is saying. We limit God and what God's possible doing. And there's plenty of cases of people being healed. And the question is, who's healed? Has God healed, or is the person's belief? And it seems here that both, they interact with each other. They work together in some mysterious way, that both God's action and our action bring the outcome. And I don't fully understand how that all works, because sometimes God does heal, or a person is healed, and their faith is important, God's action is important. Other times people pray just as much and fervently and they're not healed. So I don't understand how that all works.
And that doesn't mean that their faith is lacking
necessarily.
It just the answer from God at the moment is no.
Yeah, well, Jesus prayed that he would be able to escape the cross, not this cup, and the answer was, you need to get on with it, Jesus. So therefore, you're right. God's answer is not always yes, but that doesn't mean to say we shouldn't ask, nor should we have a low expectation. We can have a high expectation of God's intervention.
In fact, the boy's dad says in the next verse, I do believe, help me overcome my unbelief. So he feels as if he's got a glimmer of hope and understanding in that.
And earlier in Mark makes the comment that when Jesus goes back to the towns around here where he grew up, that the people had little faith, and Jesus could do little miracles there.
Few miracles,
because of their lack of faith. So there's this interesting interplay between faith and God's action, and the way God wants us as human beings in being made in God's image to be praying and asking and to be leaning in to God and having expectation of what God would do. It's profound how that interaction works, and I'm still working it out. But I know I need to get out of bed. God doesn't get me out of bed every day. That's my choice. But God sustains me. He gives me food to eat. He gives me energy in my body, all the rest of it, to live life. So there's this ongoing cooperation with God in a whole lot of things.
Yeah, or you may end up like I did a while back with a back injury, a prolapsed disc, and there was a time gap between when it happened to getting better. And that didn't mean to say it was just patience was required.
Yeah,
It
that's
didn't happen
part of it.
overnight.
Yeah.
And it's still not 100% better, but so much better than it was. And so it's one of those things where waiting is sometimes part of the journey and part of the travel. So it doesn't necessarily, and that was a whole learning experience for me. So there's good things that can happen in the intervening time, even if it doesn't happen straight away when you're asking.
And you've just gone well over time, Jenny.
I have. I didn't even know what time it was.
Hope that's been helpful.
Yeah.
See ya.
Okay.
Bye.